Hello and welcome to a lengthy TBR video. I have a stack. I say lengthy, I'm going to try to keep it short, but I have a stack of books. It keeps going. Of things that I wish to read in the coming months. I don't really have a defined timeline for this, but I kind of would like to read these books in the next, let's say, 2-ish months. This is more like a list of priorities. It doesn't include my audiobooks or ebooks for the most part. It's kind of just the physical books I have that I've pulled off my shelf that I've been staring at and would like to get through. So let's get into them. The first book is The Goodbye Cat by Hiro Arikawa. This is a short story collection, a Japanese short story collection about cats. It was a Christmas gift a while ago, and I meant to prioritize it last year and then kind of got stuck in a different short story collection for most of the year and just never got to it, but it's been pulled out for a minute and I would really like to prioritize this. Then I have The Island of Dr. Moreau. I always want to say The Isle, which is a science fiction classic that was published in 1896. Thank you for making infinite noise, Spleen. As soon as I try to film, it's time to wake up from the nap. But yeah, I don't know anything about this, but my fantasy book club, well, it's like fantasy sci-fi horror, is doing a science, our theme for next month is science versus nature, and this is one of the books that was recommended me to read, so prioritizing this. The God of the Woods by Liz Moore. This was super hyped last year. I wasn't even online and I heard everyone talking about it. It made like a bunch of lists. I bought this new, and I almost never buy anything new because I love Liz Moore. I've loved Liz Moore for years, and I'm really glad that she's finally as popular as she deserves to be. I don't know what this book is about, but I am super excited because I mostly give her books 5 stars, so I assume this will also be 5 stars. American War by Omar Akkad. I am actually in the middle of this right now. This is a dystopic novel about a future in which America is split by a civil war. Some of the southern states have seceded over fossil fuels, and this covers one young girl during the Civil War and her life in a refugee camp. I've been kind of in a dystopic mood. I read 2 dystopics in January and February so far, and I really enjoyed them both. So I was kind of just looking at my shelves like, I want to read more dystopics about how America is going to be destroyed in the next 50 to 100 years. So, enjoying this. Not my favorite so far of the 3 dystopics I've read, but so far it's an interesting read. Frankenstein by Shelley. This was the other book that was recommended to me for my fantasy book club. I just call it the fantasy book club for short, even though these are both definitely sci-fi reads, and it's a science versus nature themed meeting. But yeah, I have never read Frankenstein, and actually as I was talking to the librarian about it, it is kind of epistolary-ish, which I didn't realize, so I am really interested in it. I read Dracula, I don't know if I read Dracula last year or the year before, but I read Dracula sometime recently, and that was epistolary, and I really enjoyed it. And Frankenstein has kind of been next on my list because I feel like just in terms of like monster stories, it's right up there with Dracula. Never got around to it, but hopefully will by the time I go to my next book club, which is the beginning of March. Liar, Temptress, Soldier, Spy by Karen Abbott. 4 women undercover in the Civil War. This is for my nonfiction book club. It is essentially just a book about 4 women who were spies in the Civil War. 2 of them are Confederates, 2 of them were Union spies. I'm like halfway through this one. I'm mostly listening to it on audio, but I might not finish it before my book club because I've got like a week. So it's kind of a lengthy book. It's like 400 some pages, but I'm enjoying it. It's not my favorite. Just Civil War stuff in general isn't my favorite topic, but it's very local to me because I live in Richmond, Virginia, and anything about the Civil War and the Confederacy is probably going to be at least somewhat about Richmond, Virginia. So it's interesting to learn like some local history. And then for my gay book club, I have Moby, Dyke, An Obsessive Quest to Track Down the Last Remaining Lesbian Bars in America by Krista Burton. I'm fairly certain this is nonfiction, kind of memoir-esque. I think there is a local moment in this. I think that's what they said at the book club, but yeah, it's just like a nonfiction book about the author going to various lesbian bars. I hadn't heard of it before book club, but it does seem interesting. Frozen Fire by Tim Bowler. I was supposed to read this in December and then just kind of ran out of time. The month, you know, got away from me as it does. I don't know what this is about, except that it's weird, and I think it was recommended to me more for being interesting than for being like good. So I am intrigued by it. It's like YA, maybe fantasy, maybe horror, maybe something. I think it's somewhere in the category of the weird, but I don't really know anything about it. And then finally, Juniper and Thorne by Reid. I was also supposed to read this in December and ran out of time, but this is, I believe, YA fantasy. It was recommended to me by a friend who loved it, and it's kind of out of my genre, but I'm really curious about it. So I hope I love it just as much as he did. There's definitely more than I can get through by the end of February, considering we have like 3 weeks left, but you know, I'll do what I can. Slang word. Come say hi. But yes, that's more money. That's more books than I can get through by the end of February. But I'll do what I can, and it'll kind of be later, perhaps, that I'll get some of these read. Like, it's probably going to go into March. It might go into... Hello, child. It's probably going to go into March. It might go into April, even. But hello, yes. You want treats? Oh, look, there's Toro. I don't believe Toro has been in any of my videos yet, but he is my new son. Come here, son. I don't know that he wants to be here, but say hi. Yes, you get treats. He's like, I don't want to be on camera, but I'll come up to get treats. But he is my new son. I've had him since last August. He's a fluffy tuxedo boy. And yeah, this has kind of devolved from a TBR video into a cat video. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna continue feeding these babies treats. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know down below if you've read any of these books, what you thought of them if you have. And as always, I will see y'all again soon.